Have you ever wondered how these top students seemingly can memorize everything, or you forget 90% of what you just memorized? What are the secrets used by these top students? What are they doing really? Well, hey friends, I'm Ryan Koh. I'm currently a student studying at UPM who scored 4 flat for both of my semesters and also was one of the top students in my school. What I come to realize after years of studying is that these exams are just testing whether or not we remember and can regurgitate the information from these papers. So what I realized is that why don't I just precisely do that? Simply study for what the exam wants. So this is a precise movement for the active recall framework. This is truly the most simple and most effective way to memorize anything and any subject. It's an act of regular repeated retrieval of information to strengthen your memory. As its name implies, active recall framework requires you to be active in terms of brain instead of passively reviewing all those information or all those studies that you have gone through. So one of the ways you can retrieve information is by saying it out loud. One of the studies from University Waterloo, they have found out that there's a production effect. The production effect simply says that there's an advantage for you to strengthen your memory if you say it out loud rather than reading it silently. Saying and hearing both at the same time helps to strengthen the memory pathway in your brain. You can create associative memory in your brain. This is very important to convert your short-term memory into long-term memory. And once it is inside the long-term memory site in your brain, it will be very difficult to forget the facts that you just studied or revised and want to use it during your exam. So now we know how to actively retrieve this information from our brain. It's time to space out the interval and plan for your study. One of the general tips that you need to follow is that this interval between repetitions shall increase gradually as you do more repetitions. There are many studies that say that this is because we want to tackle the forgetting curve that occurs in our brain. Because whenever we study a subject, gradually our memory for that subject or information will be lost gradually over time. But as you do more repetition, the memory loss from all these sessions will be longer and longer. It needs more time for you to forget the information. During this interval, because not all subjects requires you to memorize everything, you can do other studies such as maths or physics where you require you to practice a great ton in order to master the subject. For me, what will I do is that I will space up to at least 3 to 4 sessions of repetition before an exam to ensure me to have been fully confident for this subject. So after the first active recall, I will wait about 3 to 4 days before the next repetition. And then after the second repetition, it will follow through a 1 week schedule. You can also adjust this time period according to what your schedule is like. It can be truly flexible. So there's some problem with this active recall framework, the largely being that it can be very boring since you are doing it alone. So what I personally like to do is to spice things up, trying out with my friends, testing out with my friends who are in the same classmates or in the same course. There's also one additional advantage if you are trying out with your friends is that when your friend is asking you questions, they will always try to find the niche information in the textbook or notes they are given by our lecturers. And this is working towards our favor because they are trying to cover everything inside our textbook while adding a spice of competitiveness. If you want to save a lot of time to have more time for this active recall repetition, you can find the time by skipping out on noting. Yes, there's a lot of people who like to do notes while studying because it feels very effective and productive. Although noting can be quite fun at times, making beautiful notes, however, it really wastes a lot of time and study has shown again and again that it is not really effective. One of the things that we can do is to highlight all the things that we want from our subject or lecture notes or textbook so that we can see them properly. And when we are memorizing all of this stuff, we can see that, oh, these are the keywords that we need to write for these exams. These are the facts, these are the things that we need to know during an exam. I think you are just like me who has a problem with motivation, trying to keep up with the constant and a large amount of things to study. One of the more interesting approaches that I use to tackle this problem is to make it like a game, like a challenge, like a quest that I need to conquer. So every time I complete this quest or this challenge or this studying session, I will reward myself with something of a sweet or a gaming session or even watching an episode of anime. This will make it very exciting and fun as your brain try to relate these fun activities with studying session. The most important thing that will make or break this system is to track your progress. One of the more interesting approach and fun way to approach this is to put Easter egg into facts and also things that you need to memorize. Try to make this Easter egg as weird and as fun as possible to make them stand out from the rest. Weird things will attract your brain and make it more likely to be remembered by your brain. From the 100 Instagram reels that your friend just sent you, we are constantly being distracted, especially when we are trying to focus for our subjects. It is important that we maintain the flow and the momentum of us studying. This is because of the context switching mechanism. Content switching mechanism just means that there's a delay between when you're switching between different contexts. For example, like the Instagram reels and the thing that you're trying to study and memorize. So how do you solve this? This is a very simple solution which I find it very personally useful. I just put my phone physically away. I try to put it outside of my room so it will make it quite difficult to access it and increase the friction for it. When you're trying to study, you will find that you're losing momentum not because of your phone but also your brain. Your brain comes out of a lot of random and intrusive thoughts. So from my meditation, I realized that there's a very nifty trick that I like to use, which is to just let your thoughts flow away gently. By letting it flow away and refocusing into your study, now that we have all the tips and tricks to memorize all this information, now it's about the memory consolidation phase, which is essential to allow you to remember stuff and retrieve information easily and effectively. So what I try to do is to place my study session right before I sleep, or between study session I will have a nap session to allow me to sleep and energize myself. From research, and I quote, our results suggest that interleaving sleep between practice session leads to twofold advantage, reducing the time spent relearning and ensuring a much better long-term retention than practice alone. Sleeping not only energizes you but also helps you to remember stuff much better by improving the memory retention. So I literally sleep 5 to 30 minutes in between study session to ensure that I have enough energy and also the memory really consolidate in my mind. Memorizing facts and also information can only get you so far. So understanding the subject that you are learning is also very important. We just interrelate certain information from different subjects as well. So instead of studying just one subject at a time, try to study a multiple subject at a single time so that you can relate all these concepts from different topics and subjects together. For example, physics and biology might seem very far off and not related by any means. But take the specific heat capacity concept from physics that says that water has a high specific heat capacity, meaning that it requires a lot of heat to increase the temperature of the water. This is very important because it maintains the temperature of the water without going too high or too low. Now we can relate this information with biology that says that water is essential to life. This is because maintaining a constant temperature in living organisms is important to ensure that all kinds of biological processes can go smoothly and nicely. So let your mind run wild. Don't worry, be brave, and you will soon realize that you are an amazing, smart and creative person for understanding so many concepts at a single time and together and interrelating all those concepts and information together. This will allow you to have a comprehensive understanding for all the subjects. Memorizing stuff is just part of getting good grades. There's also challenges and pitfalls to avoid in order that you can get the best grade overall. Watch this video and I think that it will help you out a lot as I go in detail as to how to study for any single subject and different types of subject with different approaches to them. I know you will enjoy it.